Yo, 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 Ram fans, welcome to a Tuesday edition of Monday Morning Cup of Coffee. I'm Steve Ivy with co host Marty Lenz. Happy New Year, Marty. How are you, man?
Happy New Year. I am well. Just excited to see what 2026 will bring. That's what I'm excited about. So,
Yeah, obviously, we'll talk basketball for sure, but big announcement yesterday with football with a new quarterback out of the portal, a transfer from Oklahoma State who started his career at TCU. And that was exciting to see. And of course, that's going to start coming fast and furious, all the portal stuff with coming and going. It's that time of year. It's a new year. It's time for a new roster, right?
yeah, it's an exciting time. I mean, I think that I take, I guess, some weird solace in is this program had some decent talent. When you see some guys coming in, but seeing some of the guys leave too, you're like, we had it. It's just for whatever reason, I'm a firm believer in chemistry over biology. Looks like we had the biology, but just couldn't figure out the chemistry piece. But no, I'm excited to see about some of the young people coming our way too. So cannot wait to see some more. But yeah, getting a quarterback, that's the prime thing you need to get nowadays. So looks like we may have potentially a really good one.
Yeah. I love your chemistry over biology. I I flew back yesterday from Phoenix, and uh, I don't know if you saw my posts on social media, but as I was going to baggage claim about get on the train, go out of
I
DIA.
did. Yeah.
I ran into none other than the New Mexico Lobo basketball team coming up from
Right.
Albuquerque, and I immediately went over and introduced myself to their head coach Eric Olin, and I spent a good 5 minutes talking to him on the train, at least 5 minutes. We were talking about just stuff, and um, it didn't come up in terms of chemistry over biology, but we talked a little bit about those kinds of things and teams fitting together and stuff like that. And he's a real interesting guy. Just a great guy, and I wish we were going to be around the conference with New Mexico a lot longer. He'd be a nice guy to get to know. But this whole chemistry thing is so important, and we started seeing it, of course, out of CSU over the weekend. We're going to bring on in a couple of minutes Coach Dave Pilipovich to talk about the Rams win over Grand Canyon on Saturday, 70-60, and we'll talk about a big upcoming week with two home games, New Mexico tonight and UNLV on Friday. So it should be fun. Did you see anything else on the weekend of interest to you?
No, nothing. I mean, nothing really. I was watching a little bit of the college football championships. I watched the FCS championship last night. That was a really exciting game. And I was gonna more about the chemistry over biology. I was watching the Nuggets game last night. All their biology's on the sidelines right now. At least the really good part of that biology. But the chemistry of the Nuggets last night, getting a pretty solid win over the 76ers, which I always think is an example. That's a team that seems built a lot on biology but doesn't really have the chemistry. However one feels about Joel Embiid, and I sometimes take him to task thinking he's $1 million talent, but is he soft? I don't know. The best ability availability. He played last night, but I'm thinking, he's going to have a good game, but he doesn't have Valanciunas, doesn't have Joker, doesn't have any of our big guys against him. And the Nuggets still come out with the win because the other guys, the other cohorts of the Nuggets bonded together and really got what I thought was a very exciting, very big win, totally with a really depleted roster.
Yeah, the interesting. I saw somebody with a great comment saying it was the Nuggets summer league team beat the Sixers yesterday, and it's pretty true. But that's where the chemistry was developed with a lot of those guys playing together in summer league, and by playing more and more games together, it creates that kind of stuff. So, hey, without further ado, let's bring on our guest. He's been sitting in the background waiting patiently for us. None other than assistant coach Coach P, Dave Pilipovich. Dave, good morning. How are you today, young man?
Good morning. Good morning to you all. It's a great morning. It's game day, right?
It is game day, and And I was just talking with Marty. I ran
Right.
into the New Mexico Lobos
Yeah.
yesterday on the way up from DIA, and had a chance to talk to a couple of the players and talk to head coach Eric Olin. Of course, you came from New Mexico, but you don't really have other than friends and
Mhm.
guys like Jeff Grammer. You don't have a lot of ties down there. But before we talk about we'll get into tonight's game. I want to talk about the Grand Canyon game. A great road win, 70-60 over a solid Grand Canyon program in a pretty tough environment to play. You guys were 0-2 going into that game and were coming off a really rugged loss at home against Nevada. And I did a post game show and I was pretty tough on the team. I thought, the Rams got pretty beat up in terms of offensive rebounding by Nevada and a lot of second chance points, but it just didn't seem there was a lot of fight in the team. And then they came out. But I want to talk about the prep for Grand Canyon. Was there a greater sense of urgency knowing the goals of this team, Dave? Was there a greater sense of urgency being 0-2 and really having to step it up?
I think you're talking about a 20-game conference schedule. There's so much. It's a marathon, right? Not a sprint. And obviously, you don't want to start 0-2, but that's where we were. And that's just a credit to our players within themselves. They took it upon themselves, along with coach and the staff, to we got to turn things in the positive. We got to correct a few of the minor errors that we're having that can cause you to that little margin of victory or non-victory. And the practice preparation leading up to Grand Canyon was probably some of the best we've had all year. And again, that just goes to our character and the quality of people we have. And it led and it showed. And we came away with that win at Grand Canyon, like you said, with a great environment, really a good college basketball environment there.
Coach, what's the philosophy? I mean, again, there's no panic. You said it, it's a
Mhm.
20-game season, but what little minor adjustments did you make from the Utah State to the Nevada game to GCU, and getting on the road? What were the minor things that you looked at on film and said, if we do these things, we're going to be okay?
A little bit more physicality in our play on both ends of the floor, defensively, putting bodies on people when shots go up and blocking out and limiting their offensive rebounds, being a little bit stronger on drives and ball screen coverages. And then on the offensive end, being a little stronger in our cuts and sharper in our cuts and stronger in our screening actions and all that stuff, excuse me, showed and led to that victory against Grand Canyon. A really good team, a talented team that can score at various positions on the floor. And obviously, when you're playing on the road, as you all know, it's tough to win on the road. And I believe it was a sold out crowd. It was loud in there, and they're baseline to baseline, sideline to sideline, fans all over you. And we really started sharp, maintained that throughout the game, and then finished sharp. It was a really impressive road win for us, as we're still trying to get healthy a little bit too. We have some players out, but the players who are healthy and playing are doing a really good job right now.
Yeah, Dave, speaking of the health, obviously, with missing Rashawn Mbemba and Kyle Jorgensen, it's really, there's been kind of greater demands passed on to the guys who are playing more minutes in their place, and specifically Augie Kiadoulis and Carey Booth,
Hmm.
both of whom really stepped up at Grand Canyon. I want you to talk about Augie. From my perspective, watching the game against Nevada, I thought, I'll speak to the Nevada game and what I thought. Augie in the first half was fine, and the team was actually really good. I actually said, had they rebounded and had they not thrown the ball away on a couple of press breaks, I think the Rams would have had a 15-point lead at halftime. That's how good the defense was. They just couldn't finish possession with the rebound. But in the second half, I thought Augie specifically, mostly because he's been coming off the bench, might have physically tired. And the offense looked like it was getting bogged down, just moving a little slower. But talk about Augie's progression from the Nevada game to the Grand Canyon game, because it was night and day difference.
It was, and it's a credit to him. And you're talking about a young man who's new into the program, as so many of our players are. And then he had a minor setback early. He was playing really well in the preseason. Then he had a minor setback, didn't travel with us to Creighton, was out for a little bit. That took some toll on him, and to get him back to where he was, and then we moved him in some positions on the floor, especially offensively. And so our flow was taking some adjustments to play, and we had some moving parts and some moving pieces added. And it takes time. We hope you just add water and it's there right away, but it did take some time. I think you saw that, like you said, in the second half of the Nevada game. We grew and expanded on that Saturday, and hopefully we can continue to do that as we move forward. But both Augie and Kerry played exceptionally well, along with some others on Saturday.
Coach, one thing that you never want to be without your great players, but what has that given you all the opportunity as coaches to find other young men that step up and creating maybe greater depth with the roster right now because you have Kyle out and because you have Memba out at this time?
That's correct. I mean, you never want to see any player miss action because of an injury, but due to the circumstances, the situation we have, it's created an opportunity for others to play and to play in different spots on the floor. And it's just going to allow us to grow as a team right now. But then when those players are added back to the roster, I think it expands our depth. It expands our versatility, both offensively and defensively. And then you can never pass up on game experience that they're getting and quality time in the Mountain West Conference. So all that being said, it definitely will show as we continue to grow and move forward in the season.
Yeah, the thing that I've always said, this offense that was run under Nico and now under Ali, the importance of the big men, and there's kind of two aspects of it that I think are very, very undervalued. One of which is the screen setting that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Mbemba is as good a screener as there is in the Mountain West Conference, and Kyle got bigger and stronger and turned into a much better screener going from his freshman to his sophomore year. But the other thing that becomes really, really tough is there's a lot of timing that goes into running this offense, and if the timing is off, and I've seen it over the years, we had Nico Carvacho years ago who was exceptional at stepping in at exactly the right time to receive the ball and all of the moves he made, and we've seen it out of some of the bigs. It takes time. Are you starting to see that as well out of both Augie and Carey, who are playing that position in the absence of Kyle and Rashad?
We are, and what has been great is Kyle and Rashawn have been so good to those two guys. Obviously, they're on the sideline, but their voices have been loud, and they've been helping them through practice situations and game situations. And as you know, in our offense, you have your ball handling guard, and everyone says that's your point guard and your lead guard, and that is so true. But how we play, your five man is almost like your point guard as well, because he does execute so much action in your offense, and he takes it from piece to piece. And that's hard for players to step in and, you give them 3 or 4 days prior to a game and throw it at them. And now you want to execute, and it just doesn't happen that way. You need the experience and the game experience and the practice reps. And so we have grown in that, and we have continued. We've had some good practices leading up to tonight's game. So, just the more time you're on the floor, the more actions you are with your teammates, it's helped. And when you lose those two players, think about it, those are the two returning players that played last year. And this still is a new team, as so many teams across the country are, because of the portal and the situations that were here in college athletics. So it does take some time. And then once you lose some players that are valuable, is that you have to readjust, reset, and then move forward. And again, a credit to the players for their attitude and their work ethic that we've had. We've had some really good practices since we've been back on campus after the Christmas break.
Coach, kind of along those same vein, but I'm going to pivot a little bit here because I find you fascinating because of your career arc of what you've done, and I'm curious from your perspective. As you mentioned, you've been on the floor, you've been the head man, you're helping out Coach Farokhnamesh, who's got tremendous skill, but he's a first-time head coach. What advice do you give Coach Ollie? And then from your perspective, is it I know it's different, obviously, but is it harder being the head guy and then being, one of the guys on the bench now giving that advice, or is it harder being the actual head guy and taking the advice from your sages and your people?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, Coach Ali is really talented. I know he's young in his late 30s, but I think on a basketball perspective, he's so much older because of his maturity with the game and in his teaching. He is really, really ahead of the curve there. I think he's exceptional. I think our staff is really good. I think having the carryover with Ken and Tim, who've been on his staff with him, has been tremendous because they know and they've been there together. And us who've been added in this year, I think hopefully has been able to help and add in. Being a head coach, I've seen it so many times. You have some head coaches who now are assistants and they can't get rid of that first seat mentality, and they have to have the loudest voice and the first voice. And I don't think that's the way you do it. I think I've enjoyed it, getting a step back and sit a few seats down again and observe everything. And I think maybe hopefully I can add is I've been in this situation before. I've seen it maybe be successful or maybe not be so successful. And let me add a little bit of voice there of why it was or why it wasn't. And you pick your spots and you find, because, too much is too much, and not saying anything, you're not bringing any value. So hopefully I've been able to do that. I've had some experience down in New Mexico with Richard and doing that. And hopefully I'm adding that here. But I do think this staff is very, very talented and very cohesive. It's like our team. And if you don't have that, as you know, it causes some ripples along the way, and maybe you're not as successful. But I think we've been unified from the beginning, and we're all on the same page. Sometimes we don't always agree, but once we leave our coaches' meeting room, we always have one thought of play and one voice to bring that to the team. And that's been great. We all know there's some teams out there that don't always do that. And then you end up seeing that in the win-loss column because it hurts your team. But we have been unified. We've been together. We've been some ups and downs already because of injuries and maybe a loss here or there. But I think we've responded well. And that goes to the credit of our leader. And coach has done a really good job with that. And again, I'll say, he's older than his age as far as coaching and teaching the game of basketball. So it's pretty neat. And I'll say this, we don't have any guys flying on jets back to LSU or Mississippi like some teams are doing right now and trying to get a coordinator working and a receivers coach. So I don't know how they're doing that. That's something different. That's what's called athletics is about right now.
So let's pivot a little bit. You talked about obviously you came from New Mexico, and you're very intimately involved with the program down there the last few years that Richard Pitino Jr. built. And they've come in with the new head coach, Eric Olin, who came from UC San Diego. I had a wonderful chance to meet him and talk with him yesterday. Nice man. But you have intimate knowledge. This is for the Ram fans out there who are going to watch. What differences will we see from New Mexico tonight from what we saw last year? You're a perfect person to talk about that.
Well, Donovan Dent will not be on the floor. Nelly Jr. Joseph will not be on the floor, and that's a good thing. Those two young men were very, very talented and great people. But it's a little different style of play. Defensively, it's a little bit different than what was there in the past couple of years. Offensively, it's a little bit different style of play as well. Different is not right or wrong. Different is just different. And they've had early success, and they've had success throughout this season. So it's a very, very good team. They have some exciting freshmen who are playing big minutes for them and playing very well. They have some transfers, obviously, they brought in. One young man who played in the league with Utah State, who's now playing there, who's providing some leadership and some quality play as a lead guard. So it'll be competitive. They'll travel with some fans. I'm sure you'll see some cherry silver in Moby tonight because they do travel well. And we expect a very good game. And this is a typical probably Colorado State, New Mexico basketball game here earlier in the year.
Coach, I'm excited about the move to the Pac-12 and the new alignment of the conference, but as an old traditionalist, are you a little melancholy, a little sad to think, man, are we going to play New Mexico, in the future, or certain teams that we've have a good rivalry, a great competition with, especially in the hoop side of things with the New Mexico? Does it make you a little sad, a little melancholy?
It does, as you both know. I mean, the Mountain West Conference has been really, really good since its inception, right? And basketball has really grown over the last decade or more, you could say, with multiple bids to the NCAA tournament and the rivalries, playing at the Pit, playing at UNLV, going to Nevada to play, and you're going to miss those. And it's just, everything has changed so much, and you hate to say what, why. I mean, when they added UC Davis and Hawaii, we were in UTEP, we were saying before we knew the split with the Pac-12, where's this ending up? But yeah, this last year, I think the new Pac-12 is going to be exciting. It's going to be a better version of the Mount West as far as from a basketball standpoint, I'll say, because of the teams that we're adding. So it's going to be really great, but you're going to miss those old time rivalries, going to New Mexico, UNLV, Nevada, Air Force, Wyoming, whoever may be. Those were really good. And that was a standard of the Mount West. But as times are changing, you got to adapt and adjust. But we are excited about the creativity of the new Pac-12. It's going to be a very exciting basketball conference.
Yeah, from my perspective, from a fan perspective, I've always looked forward to the New Mexico games, and I honestly think that's the one out of all I won't miss the Wyoming rivalry as much as I'll miss the New Mexico. Seriously,
True.
the New Mexico
Hmm.
rivalry. And I hope, and I talked with Eric Olin about it. I said, I hope we can play in the future. And he said, I
Hmm.
hope so too. And I know Lee is probably interested. It'd be nice. We won't be playing twice a year, but it would
Hmm.
be nice to at least get some kind of home and home series going with the Lobos. It's such a great program, and both teams are top 75 programs and offer
Hmm.
quad one, quad two opportunities. I want to talk about, you talked about the prep for New Mexico being good. I want to talk about, their fast turnarounds. You guys played Saturday night,
Hmm.
flew back, I assume, after the game Saturday night. I stayed over and didn't fly back till Monday morning. But you immediately come back and you got a game Tuesday night, and then you immediately roll into a game on Friday night. Is there a, is there a benefit to fast turnarounds this time of year when you're out of school?
It is what it is. The schedule produces challenges throughout the year. So much preparation for a 2-day turnaround. You have to be careful with how much time you're on the floor, because obviously you play that game on Saturday evening, and it was awesome to get back Saturday and sleep in your own bed. So now Sunday is just a prep day. It's not a travel day and a prep day. That is so important. So being home Saturday night, however late it was, you woke up Sunday morning in your own bed, and then we had a light workout on Sunday, and more film and less on the floor. And then yesterday was a little bit more on the floor as you prep, and then now you tip it up tonight, and then you got to repeat, rinse and repeat for that for Friday. But the advantage is there, well, we won't have to travel. We'll be at home, which will be good. But you'll see this throughout the year, and it happens. You look forward to that bye week when you have a chance to catch your breath and heal some injuries and some hurt bodies. And here it is now. And as you all know, as we push through January, then you get in the grind of February, and the teams that stay healthier. As teams that have a little bit of success on the road and maintain their home court advantage, our teams are usually riding pretty hot as you go into March.
Coach, how important is routine? I mean, sometimes you can't always do it depending on
Mhm.
the schedule, but we're all creatures of habit. I imagine coaches and the players are. Is it keeping the same routine over and over? That is that advantageous for the team? Do you guys encourage that, saying, "Hey, let's keep these same patterns if we're having success," and or maybe if you're not, you maybe break it up a little bit. I don't know if that's the superstitious part in me, but how important is keeping that same routine?
It is very important. You always want to be in your own locker room. You want to practice in your own facility. You know what you have. You know how many baskets you have. You know what basketballs you're using. You have your same walk down to the locker room, to the training room, into the onto the practice floor or Moby. So that is really important. And I think Coach does a great job of maintaining as much consistency. It would be the big word for us, is how we prepare and how we plan and how we go about day to day. And that is really important because players do buy into that, and they're more accustomed to things that are natural for them, as uprooting things and changing the schedule daily. So I think that really plays a big part of your success, and you know what you have, and you can also put more into a little bit of time if that makes sense because you know exactly what to expect. You're not walking through a door and you find out you only have two baskets as opposed to four or six, and maybe the shot clocks aren't working, and the locker rooms are locked, and you're walking. So all those things, do they hurt? No, but they take you out of rhythm. And it's great to stay in rhythm and stay in your routine. And that's really important as you grow and you get to the dog days of February as you go through here in January.
You know, the Dave, the before I let you go, just one more thing I just wanted to talk about. This was a time of year last year where uh, CSU really came together. They had opened with a
Hmm.
win at Nevada, and then you were on the other sideline when New Mexico came in and absolutely hammered the Rams in Moby Arena. Then a quick trip for New Year's Eve out to San Jose State, and this
Hmm.
is when they really started to turn things around. Um, do you sense a change or any feel in the team in terms of kind of the movement in that direction of maybe taking a step up like the team did last year?
I think we've been pretty consistent throughout the year as far as our play. As a team, we have grown and we have gotten better every time we stepped on the floor. Maybe it's not shown in a win or a loss or a point differential, but we have improved and we've gotten better. And I think we'll continue to do that. And then I think we're excited about the addition, maybe of bringing back some bodies who aren't playing right now. When that'll be, we don't know. As we all say, we're all day to day. But once that comes to fruition, the growth of our team right now without them, and then when you add those players with the experience and the talent that they have, I think that'll just allow us to jump up a little bit more in our play, and we're excited about that. And that's going to come here hopefully soon. And this team has just been great to be on the floor every day with. I've never been around a team in 30 some years that plays extremely hard, practices every day in a positive attitude, and that is something that is really refreshing, and it'll show up as we grow and we get later in the year. But it's exciting to be around this team and the growth of some of the players, as you mentioned, we talked about earlier, who maybe didn't get the minutes maybe a few games ago, and now they are, and that'll continue to happen because you'll lose some players down the road here, another bump and a bruise or a step on a foot and that type of thing. So we really like our depth, we really like the quality of our players, and continue the growth of our team. And here we go, and let's start that tonight with the Lobos coming in.
Marty, one last thoughts, Marty.
Coach, I have one question. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, yeah, one more question for Coach. It's my fill in the blank game. Coach, just and I'll make it down to the granular level. The Rams win tonight if they do blank. What is that?
Rebound the basketball. Rebound the basketball, keep them off the offensive glass. And I think that'll be a good positive at around the games of 7, around 9:05. We'll be happy if that happens.
That sounds great. I hope they do rebound. I know the big kid for New Mexico.
Yeah,
He's a really good rebounder. But we showed some chops on the glass as well
we did.
against Grand Canyon.
We
Totally
did.
dominating them on the glass as well. So I'm looking forward to that battle. Dave, we're going to let you go.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much for joining us. It's been always great having you. You will get a beautiful Crackers College Hoop
Thanks, Coach.
Yeti
Thank
coffee
you,
mug.
guys.
I'll drop that off probably sometime during midweek. But thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you. We'll see you in Moby tonight.
We'll see you guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
You bet, Dave.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
I love Coach P.
Rebounding. Rebounding.
It's
Re-
true. By the way, the guy I wanted to
oh,
especially
he's
especially
great.
meet was the
Rebounding.
big man. Yeah.
God.
Tomislav Buljan from
Yeah.
Croatia is the
Yeah.
big man for
Rebound.
New Mexico, and
Hmm.
he is the leading rebounder in the Mountain West, and he is listed at 6'9" and 240, and he's at least 6'9" and 240. He's a big boy. I had my picture taken next to him yesterday, and I'm not a big man. Everybody knows I'm only 5'9", but I am also 180 pounds, and I look tiny next to him. Nice kid, really good player. Won the coming off the Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Week, and Jeff Grammer and I do a of Jeff of the Albuquerque Journal. We do our weekly Neek Awards, and I gave him. We gave him our Player of the Week award this past week for his quality of play. He's really, really good. He had two double-double games, including a double-double on the road against Boise. And it's going to be a challenge. If they can rebound against him, they will have done their work.
Do you know what when I think about New Mexico, Steve, and you'll appreciate this, my first exposure that I really recall of an international player was Luke Longley, who played for New Mexico, the big Aussie back in the day, and then won some NBA titles with a guy named Jordan. But I love how college basketball, the international flavor, especially the Eastern European young people that are coming into playing, I really think has elevated the game, obviously given it more a worldwide appeal. It's fascinating to me to see how schools like New Mexico and Colorado State not only trying to get the best kids from in and around here around the country, but going overseas to get kids too. I find that extremely fascinating, and there's some tremendous talent. I mean, on our roster, getting kids overseas, and then as you say, the gentleman from young boy from New Mexico, it's something else.
Yeah, he's the thing that I like about a lot of the Europeans is they're really good fundamentally. They don't first thing they don't look to put the ball on the floor right away. They're looking to do other things, whether it's pass or set a screen or whatever. And fundamentally, they're really, really good. And this kid is very fundamentally good. He gets a ball inside. You got to keep the ball away from him inside because he's pretty much going to score on you. He uses his size well, and he's got great footwork. I have a comment here I want to show. This is my boys from Pitt Press. These are the New Mexico guys. Good morning, Hoops family. I went on one of their live stream last night, Marty, and we talked old time New Mexico hoops with a gentleman named Ed Nunez, who goes way, way back. He's as old as me, I think. And we started talking about something before your time, the Norm Ellenberger days, back in the late 70s and 80s. And that was a time in
Know
the
the
WAC.
name, but yeah,
Those were the
yeah.
days. And that's how far back I go with the kind of the New Mexico program. And that's what I'm very melancholy about the game tonight. This is the last time I'll see New Mexico as a conference foe. I've been seeing them that way for it's over 40 years, and it's here we go. The one and only Ed Nunez, Lobo fan since 1970. That's how far back Ed went, and we had a great talk. I knew a guy that played for the team in the top team in 1978 that they had with Michael Cooper on it, and I had a friend who I worked with at Hewlett Packard who was a freshman on that team who told me some great stories, that we shared them last night, and we had a great time. Those guys do a great job covering the Lobos, and I'm melancholy. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, well, it was just always. I mean, you mentioned the old whack. I mean, again, watching the Nuggets game, and I tell my son, Tim Hardaway Jr., I saw his dad play in college with UTEP, when he came in with the Bear and that great UTEP team. And you think about it, I mentioned Luke Longley and some of the great players on the teams that we've faced. And, before Moby Arena was Moby Arena, it was Moby Gym. And all those, I mean, that was the toughest ticket. The football players, we used to sneak in through the locker room to get a seat because it was packed. So we had to sneak in somewhere to shove ourselves on the benches, on the butts to get a seat. So again, time marches on, but there are parts of this that it does make me a little sad to think, wow, not getting a chance to potentially not play New Mexico on a regular basis anymore. It does make me sad. Those are certain things that I'm going to miss, because those are, I feel, at least in this space for basketball, they're value programs and the natural rivalry, sharing a border. Yeah. So it makes me a little sad.
Yeah, I'm hoping, that who knows what's going to happen down the road in terms of realignment, but New Mexico was left behind because of their lack of investment in football, and they're coming off a great football season, and I'm hoping that they can invest on the football side and possibly, in 5 years we'll be back together as conference mates. And I've got a lot of my friends would tell you they'd rather have New Mexico than any other team that's staying behind in the Mountain West. They've been such a great basketball program, and the people are great. I've made a lot of friends with New Mexico fans, and it would be wonderful to continue what I think is a quality rivalry, not a nasty rivalry.
Right. No, I agree. Well, I was overhearing a conversation when we were out there doing the game, the New Mexico Colorado State football game. One of their people was talking about that, saying he was pointing around the stadium, "Hey, we're doing this, this, and this," and he was very candid, saying, "Hey, we realize now we got to up our game. We got to up our game if we're going to be considered to be a part of whatever that new alignment is going to be. You know, in what 3-4 years, whatever that comes, the TV deal. If the top 64 or 70 programs break away, or whatever that situation is." And they were very candid about it, that they missed the window, but they were getting their act together. They were investing $200 million, doing some stadium things, some other things. So no, they're, to their credit, they're very self-aware of that. And I think they just realized that it caught up to them. And I mean, I'm sympathetic, because I think in many ways, we've talked about it candidly, Colorado State, we missed our window 25 years ago. You know, we're catching up, but we missed a window of opportunity that, had we done the things we're doing now and had the quality of play we had back then, you know, we'd be probably sitting in a little different situation as well.
Yeah, I have another comment here. This is another New Mexico fan. I didn't realize Rich Strong played his high school ball down in Albuquerque. I'm sure you saw. You must have seen Rich Strong play. He was 8, or maybe you didn't see him. You might remember it. He was probably before you got there to CSU. I think in the early to mid '80s. Rich Strong.
Maybe, you know, like I said, my biggest memory in New Mexico is when they'd come in, it was always a fierce battle, and seeing this big ginger from Australia, seeing Luke Longley play, and watching that battle that he'd have down low with Pat Durham and Meredith and some of our big guys. I think he came after Paco Larson, but I remember those. I remember those great battles. I mean, like you said, whenever any of these schools came from the WAC, I mean, Wyoming especially, obviously for a variety of reasons, but any of those schools that came in, UTEP, it was a great battle. I mean, that league. I remark all the time to younger people, saying, "Man, the WAC back in my generation when I was at Colorado State was awesome, great basketball, great coaches, characters, players." I mean, it was something else. It was really kind of special.
Yeah, it sure was. And like I said, I'm going to miss it, but I'm also looking forward to the new conference as well, and getting to meet and know new people from around the conference. Obviously, with Gonzaga and Washington State and Oregon State coming in from the Pacific Northwest, Texas State
Yeah.
from the East. When I say East, from Texas, but they are east of us.
Right.
And then the wonderful core that we have moving on from Mountain West, from the Mountain West, with San Diego State and Fresno State and Utah State, and who am I missing? I'm missing one. I'm spacing. I'm getting old. Anyway, it's
Fresno State. Did you say Fresno?
yeah, yeah. It'll be fun. It's fun to look forward to. Anyway, let's call it a day. It's been fun once again. As always, having you together. I'm looking forward to the new year. I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. I've had this thought in my mind, and people can agree or disagree with this, but I've always believed the top 2 teams, and maybe even the top 3 this year would be. I was always high on Utah State and San Diego State,
Yeah.
and high on Boise State as well. Boise State is off to a 1-2 start. Utah State is off to 3-0, and San Diego State off to 3-0 start. But I've believed that this would be a 3 or 4 bid league, and I think the teams that are going to be pushing their way into the territory of NCAA, I've always believed the 2 programs were New Mexico and CSU are the 2 that were going to make the move. Both have had good seasons to date. Will need to play a little bit better, and this is obviously a pivotal game tonight in terms of improving one's status from the overall metrics and staying in touch in contact in the conference. Probably more important to CSU because you can't afford to lose
Right.
home games, but it's a really, really big game, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great game.
No, me too. I was going to say you got to hold the home serve. You got to hold home court. You can't lose those games at home because going on the road in this conference is a murderer's row. So yeah, this is a chance to get a huge quality win tonight and get back to 500. Yeah, obviously both teams are very motivated, but CSU should be extra motivated, saying dug ourselves a little bit of a hole, but we can get right out of it and get level again and move forward.
Yeah, with Coach Pilipovich talking about, practicing well and the consistency and the continued development of this team, it'll be exciting to see the next steps they take both today and on Friday against UNLV. So, Marty, thank you so much once again. Thank you all of our audience. My boys are all our boys from New Mexico joining in. Like I said, I've gotten to know them pretty well online, and they've been great contributors to the show. But Marty, thanks again. We'll do it again. We'll do it again next week, partner.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I always enjoy chatting hoops and anything with you. Thank you, my friend.
You bet. We'll see everybody. Have a great week, everybody.